In this video, we see examples of how homegrown timber can be used on farms and in homes. There is a lot of satisfaction to be gained from using timber grown on your own farm.
Looking at the deck, there's all macrocarpa, pine steps, trees I planted in the early 70s. And the board and batten is all my own trees, 300 mils wide and 25 mils thick, with a batten of 75 mil wide. It's all galvanised, nailed and screwed to the pine framing with a cavity batten on the inside. About a third of the house is eucalypt flooring. So we've got some elm shiplap just over there and an elm top. Stools I made. And in the ceiling we've got redwood, we've got more of the macrocarpa cycling and a couple of big red macrocarpa beams and some roof windows.
And these young trees here is the second crop of some cypress. The original crop was macrocarpa and it was logged. The logs were used to build a very nice house for my brother. He took the trees and had them milled and the timber machined and built a very nice house. In our own home on the farm here at Reparoa, we have built a nice new kitchen and made a floor from Eucalyptus delicatensis wood. Even though these areas are quite small, they do yield some very useful and highly valued building materials. For my brother's house, the macrocarpa component was valued at the quantity surveyor's initial costings at $80,000. So there's some very useful and highly valued timber came from a very small area here.
Okay, so this is a covered sheep yards, reasonably recent addition, and most of the wood in here was homegrown. A lot of macrocarpa up in the roof. These poles are radiata that my father planted, so they're probably around about 60 odd years old. The railings, we've used macrocarpa, radiata. I didn't have much Douglas fir on hand, but I could have used that. And also Eucalyptus delicatensis we've used in the gate over in the background there. So we've found that quite useful for internal use. It hasn't been treated.
Yeah, well, we're now upstairs in the accommodation unit, a little granny flat that we built above the new double garage. Every item of timber in this building was grown and milled on the property. As it evolved, I could see that it had potential to use more and more of the timbers that we had actually grown here and had milled and had stored. The framework of this building is our own 60-year-old radiata. The flooring here, that is tongue and groove larch, is drilled and plugged. The 3,500 plugs went into covering up the screws. So it's drilled, screwed and plugged. There's a bed over in that corner which I made out of, strange enough, poplar, black poplar, which was milled. The entrance hallway is a variety of timbers, all of which came from the property. There's Oregon, there's eucalypt, larch, macrocarpa, sequoia.
This is an example of some of the timber I've had milled on the farm and just using. If you've got shed fulls of it, or not shed fulls of it, but if you've got a ready supply, instead of putting netting or something, you've got a job that's very solid and it's there for a long time. Beautiful quality timber, and you can see the radiata in the background here in a corner that's was made it hard for stock movement. Now they all run down to a gate. You can see the track coming down there into the lane and back to the shed. Same with them coming down here, they just come straight down here into the lane off to the shed. Just makes it so easy to run. This is a building grade left over from there's about 15 or 16 35-year-old Pinus radiata milled. They were amongst those regnans in the background there. The clears, there's about 12 metres of clears have been to Tikawiti to be gauged and treated. They're air drying in there. This I'll air dry for another couple of months and then it'll be packaged up and sent in H3 and H4 treated, whichever one I wanted, and bring back to use on the farm. I think we're going to build a shed out of some of it and the rest will be just railing timber for gates, etc.
This is a back of recently sawn blackwood. A couple of months ago we thinned out about 10 trees, and some of the top pack here, the inch boards, these will be the lower grade logs, either the second logs or from a smaller log that we thinned out. It's been sawn for flooring, whereas particularly down the bottom here, this pack of 50mm beams, quarter sawn from an older tree that we thinned out, and this is the very high value material here, worth more than twice the price of the flooring grade, but the flooring grade is still sold for a very good price.
So it's really special to actually be able to come to Alex and Marcus's house to see the end result of nearly 30 years of planting and managing trees, and then also the whole process of sawmilling to get to the point that we could offer a product that has ended up in this beautiful house. And in fact the house won the National Master Builders Supreme Award in 2011, and the judges commented particularly about the timber floor and that it was sustainably grown, so it really does make it worth it as a grower to see a result like this.
Here we are, builder's own home, everything's sort of almost done. But here we have a floor. This is timber that my dad grew in a shitty little gully. He might have put in maybe 100 trees, and out of that, look at the floor. This is Eucalyptus saligni. This is prime flooring. It's hard, it's beautiful, it's easy to look after. Aren't I so lucky?